All right, guys, we're over here back at the Beer Garage, and we're collabing with
Anthony Falcone from A Town Zone. How's it going, Pat?
going very well. So yeah, let's go into where how we got into beer. So like, what was like your first encounter?
Great idea. I originally my first encounter with beer is very similar to every other kid. Like your dad gives you a couple sip of their beer, and
Yeah,
then you think it kind of tastes gross as like a kid. But then when you're like 15, you end up at like some party or something, whether it's a family party or friend's party or something, and you end up stealing beers with your cousins or your friends and stuff from your parents. You get drunk for the first time, actually enjoy it, and then you like get a kind of love for beer. So then from there, that advanced to like sneaking out, drinking like PBRs, Bud Lights, and other shitty beer like that. When I was like probably like 21, 22 ish, I started getting into craft beer because I got
okay,
sick of drinking regular like light beers all the time. And at that point, two of my friends introduced me to Treehouse Brewing and like these real top notch IPAs. And like I had liked other craft beers that were like highly available and fully distributed, like the mass produced craft beers, like Sam Adams, Southern Tier, that kind of thing. After I tried Treehouse, that set me on like a whole new path, becoming a beer snob, as people call it. And I love it. I actually like feel like I could like enjoy beers a lot more that way, where I'm
yeah,
having one or two like real nice beers sitting there analyzing it and everything, like really enjoying like the intricacies of different beer rather than just slugging down like six Bud Lights at a night.
yeah. So that was an interesting story. That's kind of like the traditional like American introduction to
Yeah,
beer.
like the American Dream beer.
Yeah. So I started kind of like, how do I put this? Like I started at like a very young age, but like not drinking the beer. But like I just like went to a restaurant when I was young, and they had root beer. So I had beer in the name. So I was like, I think I was like 5 or 6, and I was excited because it had beer in the name. So I tried some and stuff.
Yeah, it makes you feel like an adult.
Yeah, and like from there, I was interested in like just like off the wall sodas. Like I don't know if you know like Jones Soda or so yeah, like crazy sodas and stuff. And then I went to like the international bottle shop, and I just saw like off the wall beer, and I'm like, if the soda tastes crazy, like what does that taste like? And then yeah, I just like, I think when I was of age, the first thing I did was went to that store and picked up some crazy bottles. I think I had some like one of the like the Hidetoshi, I think it's called, like one of those nest beers.
So
Yeah,
you started on the craft beers right away, like as soon
yeah,
as you were 21.
I went
Okay.
right to the weird stuff.
Yeah, it took me a little bit to get to that point.
Yeah.
But I feel like my like beer consumption also became like more responsible,
Yeah.
and like I enjoyed it way more when I did do that switch too. So from there, that you got into all these like crazy craft beers. How did you start making content on it
The content, it kind
and
of,
dive into that whole game?
it all started with just, I guess, just my own reaction to beer, because there's just like the reason I personally drink beer is because of just the like the initial reaction of just, oh shit, like I didn't think a beer could
Yeah,
taste like this. And I,
yeah, and like spoilers, but like this beer that we're both trying tonight, I can't imagine what this is going to taste like.
yeah, it looks a little funky. It looks interesting. But yeah, I wanted to share that reaction. Like I wanted to not only like just like share content, but just have anybody on the content. Like even just like brand new beer drinkers that just drink like Bud Light and stuff. Like I usually manage to find like crazy beer that they actually enjoy.
Yeah, and like that standpoint too, I feel like could like blow people's mind. Like I love like having other people try these beers that are like regular Bud Light drinkers, because like they think like I don't want to have a sour with like all these different fruits and stuff. That doesn't sound great. Like I just want a beer to be a beer, and then their mind's completely blown
Yeah.
when they have like these intricate sours and stouts and stuff, and even like the real nice IPAs that still taste like beer, but they're just like a whole other level of beer.
And just seeing how their like avenue changes. Like I've gotten a couple people like off of just Bud Lights and stuff, and they're experimenting more, and it's
Yeah, me
really
too.
cool.
actually pretty recently, like my cousin stopped over here the one night to help me with something on my car. And I knew he liked stouts, but I didn't know like how, like he usually just gets like whatever stouts available at like whatever bar. So they're just like regular mass distributed stouts. And I split a couple Mortalis stouts with him. And his like mind was blown. And he was like, I don't really like sours, but I'll try one if you want to try one of these. So then I gave him a sour. And that blew his mind too, where like this week he texted me, he's like, if you go get like craft beers, let me know and I'll pick some up too.
Yeah, it's like I don't think like again like the average beer drinker, I don't think they really like know what's out there.
No, not at all. I completely agree with you there. Like it's like a whole new world to them that like we're so entranced in it. But to them it's like this isn't a beer. This is like a alcoholic thing of like happiness in a can.
Yeah, it's an experience.
So then you started from the content thing, you started doing your regular videos and like having people try different craft beers with you and reviewing them with your first reaction, and then just grew that from there.
Yep. Essentially, like I just kind of I always hang out in my garage because I vape and stuff, so that's kind of the only place I can do it and get work done. But yeah, no, I started off reviewing in the garage and just decided to call it Pat's Beer Garage. But
I like it, and like you stick with it, which is great. Like I feel like your content's real good from watching it.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I personally have no idea how good it is. I just kind of throw it up there.
No, it is good, and I felt the exact same way with mine. Like I had no idea. Like, are people watching this? Or like do people give a shit? But it is always good to get that feedback. So I think yours are great. Like I feel like you do a better job than I do with the beer review thing. But
I don't know about that.
Switching over to me, the way I started was I actually started my website like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I think closer to 3 years ago, actually.
Okay.
And when I first started it, I started as like, so my like dream job would be like writing gambling blogs for Barstool. So like all of these different like older Barstool content where like billions of people ask like how do I get a job at Barstool, because it seems like a like dream job. And at the beginning, now I don't know if that's really the case, it was just pretend that you work here and like write blogs, make video content, make whatever, and see where it goes as you grow it on your own, and then hopefully you get noticed. So I did that initially just like as a for fun thing, like to try to chase a dream. And along with it, I was writing every week for my own brain. I was writing like these multiple page Word documents every week for the PGA Tour, like going through what I wanted to bet on. Because just like beer, I started gambling pretty early compared to most people, where I started betting on sports when I was like 17, 16, somewhere like that. So I would write out these like full like 2-3 page documents every week for the PGA, just like in Word. And then as I started doing them more and more often, like a few of my friends would want me to just send them to them every week. So I was like, this is kind of like the perfect thing to just put on a blog. So then I started publishing them every week. And then after a while, I'm pretty sure what came first was I started writing hockey blogs as well. Like every day I would write a full hockey blog breaking down every single game on every single slate of like how I would bet it, what I expect to go on. And even if it was a game that I wasn't betting, I would write up a whole preview of it. And I still do that up till today. And I've gotten a lot better than that. Like looking back at my old stuff when I first started, it was atrocious. Where now it's like pretty good. I'll write like full paragraph chunks now. But then when COVID started a couple years ago and all the sports got shut down, I was bored. I was like, what the hell am I going to do here? So along with just like playing video games and stuff, I was like, I still want to keep this whole blog thing going. And at first I didn't do it even close to every day. It was just like an occasional thing. But one day I was just sitting in my house playing PlayStation, and I was like, I'm going to have like a nice craft beer. I poured myself one, and then also back to the whole Barstool thing, which I'm obviously a huge fan of. I decided to do like a beer review, kind of similar to Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews that he does every day. And like at the beginning, it was just like a handful of them. I just called them beer reviews, and that was it. and they were like these little stupid Twitter. It was even before I started the Instagram for this for my site. So they were just like these little like 90-second clips on Twitter that I would just like review a beer, and they were so awful. Like I would be like holding my phone like this, like recording it, that would like shake as I recorded it. There was no pictures, no nothing, and it was just complete shit. But then like as it went on and like there were no sports, it was like I kind of liked doing them. Like I had fun recording these videos, reviewing all these beers. And at the beginning, I was doing like the like typical like 450 North, like all the like starter beers that like everyone in the beer community was all obsessed with at first. And then like it kind of got boring to some people, like on my very limited audience of like my friends I went to. Chandler, stop that. Stop. Sorry. My dog's chewing on the skirt around my Christmas tree. But we could edit that out later. But yeah, so then I started getting better at it. And then I was like, I kind of want to do this every day. And even when sports came back and I went back to writing like my daily hockey blogs, my weekly golf blogs during the season, I still wanted to stick with something and be able to publish some kind of content every day. So I just stuck with the beer reviews, and it became better. And one of my friends actually suggested the name Brew Review just because it rhymed.
Yeah, that
was like, that actually sounds good. I'll stick with that. So I rolled with that and kept it going. And now still every day I do them. And like, I don't drink every day. Like I'm also a real big like workout guy. So drinking every day isn't the greatest thing, but like I'll have like 2-3 beers one night and then take like 3-4 days off, but I'll review all of those beers. So they're all like in the holster to upload.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like now I feel like I do it actually more for like my own fun than anything else, not even caring about who views them. But it is cool to see like the follower count go up and like to even look back at some of the older ones and see how I've improved at it. And like, just like self-analyze it. So I just have fun doing it now. And then like now, before I started even recording them, when I would go to like a bar and I would see a new beer that I had never had before, even if it didn't really sound the best, I would always want to try them. Like before Untapped was even a thing, I started like my own list thing.
Yeah.
It's just like a notes list on my iPhone. And I just kept that going to like now. And like even now, like with Untapped and all these other apps and stuff, I still use that original list of like every beer I had. So now like when I go to a bar that has like cool craft beers, I'll like look on that list. Like I haven't had this. So I'll order those and try them out.
That's a good idea. I need to do a list because I have like off the top of my head, I can't remember like the majority of what I had.
Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. So I need to use the list thing. And like, I've even kind of like made fun of for it. Like I go to a bar and like other people will just sit there like, that looks good. I'll try that. Where me, I'm like, oh, got to check the list. Got to scroll through this. Got to order this.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's crazy. The whole like craft beer landscape now.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, especially like around me that I hear of like new breweries popping up like every few months at least. There's like a new like microbrewery or something.
Yeah, me too. Even like in the small Buffalo area, there's new ones that pop up constantly.
Yeah. So like what you said about like the progress and stuff, like it's fascinating to just like you said, it's interesting to see what changes, even if like you don't really plan on the changes happening. They kind of just
I feel like it just comes naturally, right? And I've seen you done a lot with like other people too, right? Is that like a whole different dynamic when you go to film it?
Not really. It's just more of because it's like everything's unscripted, so I kind of have to I guess like seed certain improvised like conversational topics, I guess. Like it's interesting. I kind of have to pull things out of people, but because when I'm alone, I just kind of zip right through it. But it's always interesting having another person.
Yeah, and it gives it like that other perspective of the same beer and everything, which is kind of like what we're going to get into too later in this same podcast.
Yeah.
So I feel like that'll be a lot of fun for us. I've never done that before though. Like I've always done all of mine have been solo. I had like I think 2 or 3 that like one of my friends recorded one on their own.
Yeah.
And I just published it that day just because I didn't feel like doing one. But I've never done one on my own, or I've never done one on my own with someone else with me. So I'm really looking forward to doing this one today.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So from the beer standpoint now, you do a lot of international beers, right?
Yep.
So where do you find those? How do you get them? And what, like, when you see a beer, what makes you want to buy them?
So I have there's like an international grocery store in my area. You know, like Brewster, New York and stuff. It's like farther south. It's like right
Sort
near
of, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like right around that area, and they have it's kind of interesting. Their largest department is beer. So it's like
Really?
it takes up the entire side wall, and then there's like 2 other entire aisles of just like all single bottles of just international stuff. So I just kind of go off my gut. Like there's nothing really in particular that I look for.
Gotcha. For me, I haven't really done a whole ton of international ones. I don't know. I've probably reviewed less than 10, maybe 15 international beers. Like most of mine are all, I wouldn't say local, but a lot of them are like from the like East Coast area. Like there's definitely a good amount from like Froth in Buffalo, Big Ditch in Buffalo, Mortalis in Rochester that I have a ton of. And then like Boston for me is like 6 hours away. So I definitely get a lot of Treehouse. I get a lot of IPAs from like the Boston area and other like kind of distributed, not even like distributed, but like more readily available beers in this kind of East Coast area where like it like fascinates me watching some of yours where like you're pulling beers from like all over the world to try out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't really delved into local stuff at all. Like I don't even know what's around.
Yeah, and like I feel like there's definitely some really good breweries in like your area of Connecticut, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There's the only one I've been to is Nod Hill, which is probably probably one of my favorites. I mean, it's my only one I've been to, but it's still pretty good.
I feel like you got to get out more. You got to get you got to try more of the ones around you, especially if they have like to-go cans and stuff that you could review them the same way that you do the international ones.
I'm thinking I could do like brewery reviews and like do a review at the brewery.
That's a good idea too. I've never done that before, but I feel like that would be fun too. And it's like a different location. You can get different elements too of like menus, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, no, like it also kind of like promotes their brewery as well. Like people see what.
Yeah, exactly. Like they like want that almost where like people are like trying different stuff from them and like getting their name out more.
Yeah, like if they say have like a new brew coming out or something, I would go like try it out and promote it.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So do we want to get into these bad boys?
Yeah, let's crack it open. So
let's talk about it first a little bit before we crack them open, right?
Oh yeah, let's do that.
So Doog's Brewery in
it's Sweden.
Sweden, yeah. So you found these imported by 12% LLC in Mount Vernon, New York. What I thought when I came in, I thought this was a cool looking bottle because I don't think I've ever seen an 11.2 ounce bottle.
Yeah.
Like it's like smaller than what I was used to. But the flavor, when you sent like the listing of it to me, I was like, this is wild. I've never heard of a beer flavored like cola. Like,
and it's a sour, which is like even more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So the little description on there is for us, cola is a mix of unexpected fruit and spices in perfect harmony. Coriander, nutmeg, lime, cinnamon, and vanilla. So don't let the specifics of it all deceive you. The sum is even greater than all the parts. So real interesting concept. And so on the show, I think we're both going to pause recording this, record our own regular reviews like we usually do that we'll post, and then we'll come back and just continue to drink it and discuss it and review it together, right?
Sounds good. We'll see you back in a few seconds.
All right, brew review time. On today's review, I'm doing a collaboration review, actually, on a podcast that I'm doing with Pat from Pat's Beer Garage. He's also reviewing the same beer as me.
All right, so the smell.
And we are discussing it together.
The wrong button there, hold
on a podcast that you'll want to definitely tune into. On today's review, this collaboration beer is Dugs, I think that's how you pronounce it, Beer Gary in Sweden. So comes a long way, got shipped to us from this online store. We both bought them. This is a 11.2 ounce bottle, which I thought was cool looking, like it's smaller than any other beer bottle I've ever seen. 4.5%, and this is I think it's just called cola, but it is a sour ale brewed with coriander, nutmeg, cinnamon, lime, and vanilla. That's supposed to taste like Coca-Cola. Kind of cool concept. I don't mind Coca-Cola, but I'm not I usually don't overorder pop anywhere I go. I just drink water or I drink beers. So this is a real interesting concept. So pouring it actually poured like it looks like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, which is interesting. Smelling it, it kind of smells like a glass of Coca-Cola too. So let's try it out. It's interesting. So that lime really comes through a lot. I wouldn't say it quite tastes like Coca-Cola, but it sort of has that flavor a little bit. It's definitely unlike any other beer I've ever had. That carbonation is the same as Coca-Cola, where it's softer versus Pepsi, where Pepsi is real carbonated. This tastes more like Coke, where it's a lot less carbonated. But that lime really overtakes the flavor the most, which I wouldn't say is a bad thing at all. It's a pretty good beer that's accurate to the description. Let's go with a 3.7. Real interesting beer. That's a review, and make sure you check out Pat's review of the same beer that he'll be posting on his channels at Pat's Beer Garage, and make sure you check out our long form podcast where we talk about it. That's a review. Peace.
All right, guys, we're back at the Beer Garage with a brand new beer. We got Dugs Cola Sour from Sweden, 4.6, I believe. 4.5% alcohol by volume. Let's get it into a glass. So we already got it popped. Let's do it. We're also filming a podcast with A-Town's reviews, A-Town Zone. So, yeah. And look at that. Let's hold on one second. There we are. Look at that. Nice cola color. No head at all. Let's get the taste. All right, so the smell. Smells like cola. But it has a little bit more spice to it. A little bit more pepperiness. Let's dive in here. Cheers. All right. Oh my God. Okay. That's funky. That tastes like a spoiled Trappist. Spoiled bread soda. Okay. Let's rate it. Color. I'm doing 8 out of 10. It's cola. It's what's advertised. The smell. 4 out of 10. It just smells like spoiled milk in your cola. For the taste, I'm going to do about a 4 out of 10. Tastes like spoiled milk cola. So yeah, back to the podcast.
I'm good whenever you are.
Sounds good. So it's interesting to do that kind of in private, because I want to see what your reaction is.
Yeah, so my thoughts on it are, I do think it kind of blows my mind how it tastes. It is, I didn't think they'd be able to capture that Coca-Cola taste in a beer without it tasting weird, but they do. The big thing I get out of it though is the lime. I feel like the lime is real overwhelming to the taste, which I don't think is a bad thing by any means. I think it actually makes it better that way.
Yeah, it's a little funky. I actually so in my review, I don't know if like I may have like ragged on it a little bit, but it might be a little too funky for me. I feel like it tastes I'm either that or I've like spoiled beer PTSD because it reminds me of like a spoiled Trappist.
So for me, I feel like this is good to try, but
I
I
agree with
definitely wouldn't want to drink two of them. That's for sure.
Ooh. It just has like a like it almost has like a lactose funk to it. But that could be just the lime.
Yeah, I didn't get that at first, but now that you mention it, it does have that like. So I feel like lactose is okay in certain beers where it's like I don't think lactose ever enhances a beer, but I feel like it's okay in the formula for one. Like I think a lactose IPA is like such a shitty way to sweeten it up. Like there's
Yeah.
definitely better ways they could go about it. And to me, that's like lazy on the brewery when they use lactose for it. But it's not bad per se. Like it's just
No.
not.
It's just it's I think it's one of like those like gag beers, I guess. Like one of those kind of like novelty items.
Yeah, it's absolutely a novelty item. 100%. I completely agree with you on that. So, like, how'd you rate it? I know you do a different rating scale where you do like several different ratings for the same beer. How'd
Yeah.
you rate this one out?
So I usually do like smell, color, and taste. So for the smell, let's like do this again here.
And
Smell,
I'll actually do these with you too as I go about it.
yeah. Smell, I'm gonna do like I give it a 4 out of 10 in the Instagram review, but I'm gonna go like a 5 just because I'm noticing more.
Yeah, I feel like the lime and the coriander definitely do the most in the smell on here. I would probably give it my scale. I usually do 5, but it's your format, so I'm going to do 10 on here. I would say like a 5.5, and I definitely don't get like the cola smell. Where at first when I poured this, I did, but I think after I tried it and I tasted all that lime, now all I can smell is lime.
Yeah, the lime definitely like
But
I smell the lime and like almost like a little bit of like a wood flavor or note.
a little bit, yeah. Definitely a little wood note. Very mild. Like I think the lime like it overpowers that, but I do definitely
Yeah.
get that a bit. So I would say on your scale, I would give this like a 5.5 out of 10 on the smell.
Okay. So the color I gave like an 8 out of 10. You know, it's like it's what's advertised. You know, it looks like cola.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing that I said when I first poured it. I was like, this just looks like Coca-Cola, almost exactly like Coca-Cola. So I would say 8 out of 10 as well. And then the taste, what do you give it?
Uh the taste I give a 4, but I don't like in retrospect. I feel like I'm a little harsh. I mean,
I gave it on mine, which like I really only rate it on a like decimal scale of 1 to 5. I gave it a 3.4, which
okay.
now as it's getting warmer and I'm drinking it more, I would actually probably decrease that to like a 3.1, 3.2. But like you said with the novelty thing, it's definitely like a novelty beer for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely worth trying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like different. And it feel like it actually does do a decent job at capturing that like cola taste, which I didn't expect at all.
You know, it's kind of like those it's a little bit like those it reminds me of those like cola like those Coca-Cola gummies.
Yes, exactly. Like the ones that come in like the mixed variety bag of gummies, and
Yeah.
they're the shittiest ones out of the bag. I completely agree with you. It has like that almost like I don't want to say fake Coca-Cola taste because like Coca-Cola tastes fake in general, but it does definitely remind me of those gummies.
Yeah, like the artificial Coca-Cola.
That like lime is so overpowering in flavor. Like it tastes like a lime Coca-Cola.
Yeah. And it's like doing something funky with the Coca-Cola flavor.
What did you think of the carbonation?
For I mean, I would say for a beer it's pretty decent, but I was expecting a little bit more because like usually Coca-Cola is a little more fizzy.
Me too, especially like Pepsi, that it's like so overly carbonated that it's like almost too much. And in my review, I mentioned that like that it reminds me of like it definitely reminds me more of the Coca-Cola side rather than the Pepsi side,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it's definitely lower in carbonation than I had expected. Um,
It's not really in a bad way, though. I don't think, though. It's
no,
not
I don't think
too
so
low.
either. Like I think that's actually a good thing. Like I think if it was overly carbonated, it would have been too much.
Yeah.
But it's not bad at all.
The more I sip it, like the more I'm getting used to that funk. Like I'm not tasting that lactosiness anymore.
Yeah, it definitely has a weird aftertaste, though.
Yeah, I do agree with
You
that.
get that too?
Yeah, it's like a little bit chalky, and just like a little bitter.
Yeah, for me, I definitely get a little bit of that chalkiness, but I wouldn't even say it's bitter. It just tastes, I feel like that's where I get the like funkiness of it. It's like an aftertaste. It tastes just like weird and artificial.
I can't even. It's hard to explain. It's like a metallic. Yeah, like metallic.
Yeah, metallic's the perfect way, I think, to describe that aftertaste, which isn't like a word I would think to describe an aftertaste of beer ever.
Yeah,
But it is.
that's interesting.
Definitely interesting. I feel like you don't taste the booze in there at all. Like I kind of like that it's only 4.5%. Like I like those lighter beers. Like I don't need every craft beer I have to have 7%, 8% alcohol. Like I feel like it's kind of overkill half the time.
Yeah,
But or like other people are like, oh, my beer doesn't have this much booze in it. That's a problem. I actually kind of like that when they're the lower ABVs. And like I feel like that's a better, it's almost like a good thing for the beer where it's like not overwhelmingly boozy.
yeah. I think this would be too much if it had a higher percentage. I'm curious to know what it tastes like without the lime.
Yeah, me too. Like, is it like accurate to Coca-Cola, or does not having the lime in there completely ruin the beer? It's not like this is a lime version of it. It's just regular cola. But
Yeah.
like, I wonder how it would have turned out. Like, if they put cherry in there instead of lime, would have it taste like a cherry Coke?
That I wouldn't. I don't think I would mind if that was like if the cherry was overpowering instead of the lime. I don't think I would mind in that case.
Me neither. I don't really mind the lime being overpowering either. It's just like that's like the significant part of this beer.
Yeah, it should be the cola that's like the main focus.
Yeah, exactly. It's like to me, it's almost like they went for that like cola taste, and then they put too much lime in it, and they were like, well, fuck it, let's just go with this anyway. Where like it would be cool to see them do like a whole line of these with like a vanilla Coke, a cherry Coke.
Yeah, that would be
like,
great.
instead like regular Coke.
I'm thinking like food wise. I'm thinking this would go good with a burger or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Like like a nice juicy burger and a Coke, because that's like when you would drink Coca-Cola. Like, and this beer would pair nicely with the just boozy Coke. But then at that point, would you rather have like this, or would you rather have like a Jack and Coke or something like that?
I don't know. It depends what's lying around. I might. If this is lying around, I'd probably grab this.
Yeah, I think I would too.
So have you had like any other like soda type beers? I know there's like Not Your Father's root beer.
I did have those back when they like first came out. I had the Not Your Father's root beer, and that was like way before I started doing like the beer reviews and really got into craft beers. Like I would try like the craft beers that were available at like Wegmans and like other grocery stores and stuff around, but I wouldn't like actively search out like these crazy craft beers like from fucking Sweden. But like I tried the Not Your Father's. I thought that was good, but to me that was like and I think they had a couple other versions of that too. It wasn't just a root beer, right?
Yeah, they had like ginger ale, cream soda.
I think I had the ginger ale one, and then I definitely had the root beer one. I thought the root beer one was good, but to me that was more like the way I tasted those. Like those tasted more like a malt liquor kind of thing, like similar to like what I would consider like Truly's and White Claws and stuff now.
Yeah.
That's kind of the category I put those ones in. I didn't really put them in the beer category, even though I think they are more beers with the way that they're brewed. But definitely interesting. Like I think this is definitely way better than those. Like this doesn't taste as artificial and, like I said, malt liquor-y.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, the Not Your Father's root beer, I think that was like too sweet for me. I feel like I couldn't get through I can only drink like 3/4 of one. Like it
exactly. Like just too sugary and like
too syrupy.
Chewy. Yeah, syrupy is the perfect word for it. And I've definitely had like craft beers that I thought were too syrupy too, but I thought those ones, it was like way overpoweringly syrupy. And like even with like seltzers, like during the summer, I like having like the regular seltzers and stuff too. But even those, like I'd rather have like a high noon where it's like vodka,
Yeah.
soda in a can rather than like the malt liquor, like sugary shit that they put into like Truly's, White Claws, and all the other ones.
The high noons, I just tried those recently and it kind of surprised me. Like I didn't taste it, just was like water.
Yeah, it's just like a vodka soda where like Truly's and White Claws, like I can feel it. I feel like I taste like that like fake artificial sugar stuff in there that
Yeah.
they use to booze it up. Where like the Not Your Father's for the comparison to this was like the same way. Where this, like I downed this whole thing as we were recording this here, and I never had that like this is like an artificial malt liquor-y taste. Like this is crafted well.
So I just cracked a beer that I got, another beer that came in the box. So yeah, this is my dog ate
Dog
my
ate my home. I love the
yeah.
art on that.
Yeah, it's really cool. That's kind of the reason why I picked it up. But
Mhm.
it's a blackberry ale, which I've never seen that before. Usually I thought it was a sour, but it tastes just like it's interesting. It tastes like your typical like weedy ale, but it has like a
Mhm.
raspberry cream to it.
Like almost like Hefeweizen with a like a
Yeah,
flavoring added to it. That's
yeah.
interesting. So actually like the first brewery I ever went to, which I was actually underage when I went in there. But when I went there, they had like this cherry wheat and this blueberry ale that are like that, where they're just like the standard beers, but they're flavored like that. And that was like before the whole, I was probably like 18 when I first tried those. So that was like 10 years ago now. And that was like before the whole craft beer scene exploded, especially in Buffalo. Like they were like the first brewery in Buffalo, Pearl Street. And I thought those were like so incredible. These like this blueberry, I want to say it was a blueberry ale, and then it's definitely a cherry wheat. I thought those were like, I can't believe this is beer. Like that, that probably kind of propelled me into craft beer before I even really got into it.
Yeah.
But those are real interesting too. Like I love having like new beers that are a whole new concept. Like I don't really like what kind of beer was it that I had not too long ago? Let me look it up real quick. It was a like normal beer that had coconut in it.
Huh.
Got it. So it was a cream ale that was flavored on coconut. And like prior to having that one, like a month ago, which I reviewed it, it's called Neptune. If anyone wants to go back and look at it on my site, Mortalis Neptune. Prior to having that, the only cream ale I think I've ever had, like I'm sure I've probably had a couple other ones here and there, like at random bars that I tried just to try them.
Yeah.
Like, memorable. But prior to that, the only like memorable cream ale I had was like Jenny cream ale, like the nut low shittiest beer you could possibly buy,
Yeah.
which also was the first beer I ever shotgunned at a Bills game. Not fun shotgunning one of those. Like this one, like I don't really like cream ales and I don't really like coconut, but having that beer kind of blew my mind because it was like, this is crazy that a brewery could turn these two concepts to one beer that's like mind-blowingly unique and like no other beer is similar to that.
Yeah.
And like I like how they do that. And like even this one did that same concept. Like both of us thought it wasn't great, but
It's like that's the thing though. It's
like
like
interesting that it was fun to have.
yeah, and it's like it's funky, but it's like in its own unique way.
Exactly. Like it's not like you don't have it and think like this is bad. You just think like this isn't the best, but it's like interesting and it's like definitely unique and one of a kind that it's like it's a good novelty.
Yeah, like it doesn't taste like anything else. I mean, it tastes like cola, but I mean, it doesn't. It's not. You're not gonna sip this and be like, oh, I've tasted this a million times.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, like it tastes like a lime cola, but and that's what it reminds you of, but it doesn't remind you of any other beer that you've ever had.
Yeah,
Which like that's crazy that like there's so many beers out there. And like both of us have had a ton of different beers. and these ones just stick out, and they're like completely different.
Another like area of beer that I just discovered is like dark sours. I had like a Black Forest Marzen not too long ago.
Okay.
It was like it looked like a barley wine, and it kind
Hmm.
of tasted like one. And it was like, but it had I guess instead of your typical like barley wine finish, it just went right into your sour note. So it kind of like had your like vinous fruits and like pumpernickel bread, and then that ended, and then it went right into your like fruited sour. And it's like it's
Oh, that sounds good actually. So like I don't really like barley wines all that much. Like the like barley wines that I've had in the past that were like all hyped up and stuff locally. Like I'm not one to like order barley wines because I know I don't really like them.
yeah.
So I don't like go out of my way to get them. But like the ones that I've had, I just didn't really like to the point where it like kind of like turned me off on that whole category. But I love fruited sours, especially like very well made ones.
Yeah.
So that's definitely interesting to me. Was it like similar to like a farmhouse kind of sour,
Um,
like a saison?
I I don't know. I have to look back at my review on Instagram, but I believe so. I think so.
That's a cool concept. I feel like that's like the most raw, like similar to a can't even think of the word of it off the top of my head, but like similar to like a homebrew kind of sour
Yeah.
made at like a very high level. That's like the way they're making it's very good, but the process they go about to make it is very like basic and raw. And I feel like you taste that in the beer.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. I might have it on my back wall here. Let me look for it.
Yeah, check it out. It's cool that you keep the old ones up there.
Yeah. I I personally think it looks like a bunch of trash, but yeah, I'll have to like send you the photo or something. But
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to check it out. So what are your favorite like beer categories and stuff? Like what's your if you just like go to a bar, what's your go-to style of beer?
um it tends to shift, I guess, like every few months or so. Like I right now I've been on to a lot of Trappist ales, which I'm not getting sick of. Like I hate to say that, but like it's time to switch it up. I might go to like either saisons or like wild ales or something like that.
Gosh, wild ales was more of what I was thinking of with the farmhouse ale kind of thing.
Okay, yeah,
That
yeah, yeah.
the farmhouse sours, I think I called them earlier while we were talking about them. Gotcha. Yeah. So for me, I usually stick to like three categories. I'm big on like the New England hazy IPAs, even if they're from wherever. Like Monkish in California
Yep.
makes awesome New England style IPAs. Where like there's places around the East Coast that make like really good West Coast IPAs that I don't really like all that much. But so like these real hazy New England IPAs, then really good fruited sours. Like if I just go to a bar, I wouldn't really order a sour because I feel like my preconceived notion of like a sour that's going to be at most bars isn't going to be great. Where like these like crazy fruited sours that taste like smoothies when you're drinking them don't even taste like beer, I
Yeah.
think are incredible. And then I've really gotten into like these pastry stouts lately that have been really good.
Word. Yeah. I have you had anything by Almanac?
I've had a few, I think. Let me check the list.
There's Almanac and there's Grimm. Both make
Grim I've had a bunch of. I actually have not had Almanac. I've had the Alchemist. That's the closest thing to Almanac on this list. But Grim I've had a good handful of. From Grim I have had After Image, Cyber Cafe, Depth of Field, Hyper Focus Citra, Maximum Occupancy, Spiritual Consultant, Splish, Sunroof, and Super Spruce. But I don't really remember any of them.
Yeah,
And I think I've reviewed a couple of those, but can't really remember what I thought of them. I do think Grimm's pretty good, though. Like, I think the Grimm sours I've had are definitely more of like the wild ale kind of style.
Yeah, they're definitely more like they're more just like crisp and juicy
Mm-hmm.
and like refreshing.
Yeah, definitely. Refreshing, definitely. Um, and like very well refined for that style.
Yeah.
And that style in general, I feel like is pretty unique. Like not a whole lot of breweries can do that kind of style,
Yeah.
uh, which is definitely good. Um, are you into IPAs at all?
I mean, I'm not into IPAs. I think I may have just burned myself out over the years.
Gotcha. So, like, what are your favorite hops in an IPA?
Oh shit. Probably I like Motueka, I like Citra. There's a lot of crazy ones I can't remember. But the I guess like my favorite IPA brands or breweries, brands, that's like a weird way of saying.
It's kind
Um
of the same thing, though, right?
yeah, my favorite brands probably has to be like Maine Brewing Company, Nod Hill. Yeah.
I heard Nod Hill's very good. I haven't had any of them, but I've heard they're phenomenal.
Yeah, I it's also a different experience. Like, I guess it's going to be the same at any given brewery, but like having it like even fresh from the can versus fresh from the brewery, like entirely different. Like I've had,
Yeah, like on tap, you're gonna have a way better, completely different beer than you're gonna have that's canned a month ago versus
yeah,
just fresh right out of the tap.
I didn't even recognize the same beer. Like,
So my favorites are absolutely Citra's number one by far, and then I like Galaxy.
oh,
Um,
Galaxy's good.
I like Mosaic. I don't mind Montega. And then when it gets like, I actually think that like when it gets into like the more different hops, I feel like that kind of detracts from the style I like, but I always like to try them.
Yeah,
So I always try them out. But like Treehouse has this series called Juice Project. It's like these really overly juiced double IPAs that have like the most dry hopping that they do. But they had one that was like Citra plus Citra, where it was like just overloaded with Citra and no other hops.
yeah,
Where usually it's like Citra and something else, or like Galaxy and something else. This one that was like Citra plus Citra blew my mind. Like it was such a good beer that I just loved. So I really like Citra. That's definitely my favorite.
yeah. No, this one actually has an interesting hop I've never heard of before. It's Hallertau. It's like
I
Hallertau.
have heard of that. I feel like I actually had a beer with that not too long ago. Can't remember what it was though. Did you like that though?
Yeah, it was interesting. It's like I definitely tasted like completely different notes than what I would have gotten from like my typical hop selection.
And you said that was a blackberry ale, right?
Yep.
Did the blackberry taste like overwhelming or did it enhance the flavor of the beer itself? Like the base beer?
I think it complemented it pretty well. Like it kind of had the typical, just your typical like weedy ale, just like your base ale, and then it kind of just had your kind of your oatmeal raspberry cream addition kind of to the back end.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the best way. I'm sorry, I'm playing with the cap of this. Sorry. I feel like that's the best way that they can make those. Like, I feel like that's the best result you're going to get. They do that where, like, when they overwhelm it with the flavor, I feel like that just kills off the whole taste of the actual base beer. And then when
Yeah.
it's just the base beer and like a little hint of it, it's like, what's the point? So,
Yeah.
like you said on that, I feel like that's the best way to go for sure on that.
Yeah, it was definitely very well blended. It tasted like kind of like a parfait.
Interesting. I've actually had a parfait style sour that had like the yogurt in it.
Yeah.
That was interesting. It was Mortalis Beholder. I forgot what fruits that they used in it, but it was like oatmeal, yogurt, and then the fruit.
Yeah.
And it like was real accurate to that. Like you tasted the yogurt in there.
That's awesome.
That like that was another one that it was like this is so different than what you were expecting. That was great.
I was gonna ask you, like, regardless of beer style, what do you think like your favorite beer that you've like ever had is?
My favorite beer I've ever had, 100%. Although I had one that like came very close to rivaling it. this past week. My favorite overall beer I've ever had was Treehouse Triple J King Julius with the Triple J. They have like the normal King Julius and the King Julius.
Yeah.
That's by far my favorite beer I've ever had. I had it before I started the whole beer review thing, and it like blew my mind completely. So when they first started doing the King Triple J, I think Treehouse only made it like once a year at that point. And like the very first release they had it, which I didn't get at that time, but the very first time they released it, like cans of it were so rare and limited that like people were paying like $100 for one single 16-ounce can of this beer, which is fucking insane. Like, who the fuck would ever pay that? But people were doing it like on the secondary market.
Yeah.
So when I got it, I think it was like $25 or something. So big deal. And two of my friends split it with me. But that day we did like the regular Julius, which is like one of Treehouse's flagship IPAs, the Triple J Julius, King Julius, and then King Triple J Julius, and compare them all. And like the King Triple J completely blew my mind. And then when I reviewed it this past summer, because now it's like pretty readily available a couple times a year, like you could just get it for the same price as every other Treehouse beer. And it's like still only released in the brewery, so you still need someone to like mule it for you, or you got to go there to pick it up or whatever. But it's like nothing over the top hard to get at that point. But like when I reviewed it, which was my second time I think having it, I still gave it like a 4.9 out of 5, and I think that's the highest review I've ever done. And then
Wow.
Actually, the beer that I had it like a week ago, but I published it yesterday. But Treehouse Juice Triple J Juice Machine came really close to rivaling it. Like if I had them side by side, like I haven't had a King Triple J Julius probably like 4 or 5 months. I feel like having them side by side would be insane. But that one I just rated 4.8 this past week. So I think those are the top 2 beers I've ever had. And I'm sure I've definitely had like some sours that have blown my mind too, almost to that same level where it was like, this is insane. But none of them really stick out to me as much as those 2 IPAs do. What about you?
That's interesting. So you're like, I feel like I'm a little more generous with my high scores. I should like, maybe not. I should probably like save those.
So that's kind of inspired by Dave Portnoy a little bit too. Like, like he never gave a 10 to a pizza other than like a couple novelty ones and his shitty frozen pizza. And I don't think he's ever done like an actual 10 on like a regular pizzeria's pizza, because it's like you can't give a pizza a 10 because some other pizza that you come across after having it could be even better that you never knew existed, and then you don't have anywhere up to go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've found that issue, and I've had to go above my 10, and I've had to do like 11 out of 10.
So like for that reason, the highest I ever did was 4.9. But I do a good amount of like 4s out of 5s. And the only reason I did the like out of 5 scale rather than 10 is because that's what Untapped uses. So like my friends that use Untapped that told me, why don't you just do Untapped instead of your stupid word list that's on your phone? Like they would like rate stuff on Untapped. Yeah. So like I'll just stick with that same like craft beer scale of 1 to 5 and then do the decimals. I think you probably count on like one hand how many I've done over 4.5 or like 4.6-ish. But those 2 by far were like the 2 highest ratings, the 4.8 on the Triple J Juice Machine, and then the 4. I'm pretty sure I gave it 4.9 on the Triple J King Julius. But so like what were your favorites though?
My all-time favorite. I'm upset because I can't remember what it is or what it's called. So I was up in Syracuse at some tiny pub, and I ordered like a Dunkelweizen, and it came in like this huge mug, and it was like jet black. probably the best beer I've ever had. It tasted like your like the most crisp, like peppery root beer with like pumpernickel bread, and then like at the end it like rolled into like tobacco smoke and like kind of like a Dr. Pepper taste.
Interesting. So I actually haven't really loved any Dunkels I've had before. I didn't really like. Like it tasted like to me the ones that I've had. Like I've had some like from Treehouse and like other good breweries and like a couple like German breweries too that I expected them to be really good. And then like to me it just tasted like a like pumpernickel bread that's been sitting out too long. And
Yeah.
like I'm not huge on like I don't really like the taste of pumpernickel bread in general. So I feel like that kind of affected it, but I've never really liked Dunkel all that much. So I definitely got to find one that I do that expands that palate for me.
Yeah, there's not many I like either, but for some reason that one was just hit it out of the park. I feel like I mean they're kind of all over the board. I've had Dunkels that are like too creamy and thick and
Mm-hmm.
like too smoky. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, this one was like it was like refreshing even. And then
gotcha.
there's the second one is probably oh I have like a couple.
Go through them all then.
I'm contradicting myself. I said I would go like regardless of brewery, but now I kind of want to go by brewery.
We can do our top breweries too.
Okay. Okay, so my second favorite beer is probably I don't remember the name of it either. It's by Poijula. It's a stout. I think it's like 14%.
That's
Uh
a lot.
yeah,
Like that's heavy.
it was like yeah, no, it had like the most flavor in it, and it was like the most accurate flavor, and it wasn't too much. And it was just like perfect. But that brewery's out in Estonia.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're big on the international one. So what are your favorite breweries? Like top five?
Top five. The first one has to be probably Poijula. Second one, probably Brewery du Dole.
Where's that?
If I'm not mistaken, that one's out in Quebec.
Okay.
I think Dule Teve, I think is in Belgium, and then Dio du Ciel is in Quebec. So like those are kind of like those are the three that I can come up with off the top of my head because a lot of them are like crazy long like German names.
Yeah. My favorites are Treehouse is by far number one. My favorite IPAs in the world. And I think they do the best job in the world at making an IPA. Then I really like Mortalis, which is in Rochester, New York. That's like an hour away from me, but I could get it muled to me real easily. So like I have a buddy that just goes there every week and picks them up. So
Yeah.
it's easy to get them. Then I really like Froth, which is a brewery that opened just like 2 years ago in Buffalo that does a really good job at the fruited sours. I at first when they first opened their first IPA, Juice Juice Life, I think it was called. I had one of them like locally at some other bar in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I was like, this kind of sucks. I like the concept they're going for, but it just wasn't that good. But like when I go there to pick up sours, which usually I just get 4 packs to go with that, of their like different styles of sours. When I'm there, I'll usually like have an IPA on tap though. And like the last time I had the Juice Life, it blew my mind. Like I thought it was an incredibly well done beer. And especially knowing that I didn't really like it when they first released it,
Yeah.
it definitely like I saw that improvement in those 2 years of like the same beer just brewed several different times and how much better they got at it. So I would say they're probably number three. I also like other half. I like Monkish. I like Urban South in Houston, Texas. I would say those are probably like my top 5, 6.
All right. So that was our review and talk about beer and review of Duke's Cola Sour Ale, brewed.
Real good beer, like real good to try. I wouldn't say real good beer, but real good to try.
Yeah, no, it's a fun novelty item to try out.
Yeah. And I had a blast talking on this like podcast format before. I've never done this specifically on beer where I just talked and just had a full conversation for, I think we went like almost an hour or over an hour.
Yeah, about that.
So I had a lot of fun doing this. We definitely got to do it again. Keep this
Yeah,
going.
same.
So, and then just make sure you guys watching this follow both of us. Mine is at A Town Zone on Instagram and Twitter, and my website, atownzone.com. I got daily beer reviews, and if you're also into gambling, I break down hockey games every day, break down golf. That's pretty much it.
All right, and I'm over at Pat's Beer Garage on YouTube and Instagram. So yeah, I'll leave the handles like in the visible area after in post.
Below.
So yeah.
So make sure you follow both of us and look out for the next time we do one of these, because we're definitely going to do it again.
Yep. Cheers,
All right.
guys.
Great talking to you, Pat.
You too, man. Cheers.